If your Dominar has issue with oil leaking from the magneto cover, and even if you tried like me by trying to fix it externally, and I know it did not work out. So let's see how to permanently fix this oil leaking issue in this video. Let's start by draining all the engine oil out. I'm gonna use this 18mm socket along with a ratchet to make this work easier. Keep the drain bolt aside and let the oil drain completely from the engine case. Using a plier, let's take out the strainer out and wait until the entire oil is drained out of the engine. Next, let's start removing the sprocket cover. I'm gonna use this T-bar of 8mm in size to remove the 8mm bolts holding the sprocket cover. Always loosen in the crisscross pattern, remove the bolts entirely. Once the sprocket cover is out, let's move on to removing the magneto case. Using the same 8mm socket, or in this case the T-bar, I'm going to remove all the bolts which is holding this entire magneto case onto the engine. Always make sure that you loosen in a crisscross pattern and only then remove the entire bolt out of the case. The reason why we are doing in this way is to make sure that the engine case is not getting damaged due to uneven pressure which is exerting due to the tightened bolt. If you tighten the bolt or even remove it in a sequential order, this can actually imbalance the pressure that is exerting onto the crankcase and it can damage it or even crack it, which we don't want and we need to completely avoid that. Once all the bolts are removed, before we pull out the magneto cover, we need to remove this zip tag which is holding both the magneto coil cable and also the sensor cables. Once this is removed, we are not yet ready to remove the magneto case yet. We need to clean the entire surface free from any dirt or grime in order to make sure that your work clean and at the same time none of the dirt or grime enters into the engine. Alright, once the engine case is entirely cleaned, let's keep a microfiber cloth and using a hammer slightly tap to loosen the case from all the directions. Now you can gently pull and wiggle and slowly remove the magneto case out of the motorcycle. Now one of the important steps is to remove the old gasket in one piece. We have to be very careful and extremely patient while you do this so that you don't break it in between, and if you accidentally do so, you might have to put extra efforts to remove it completely and in a neat manner. So I'm taking my time and gently removing all the gasket material in one piece. Once this is done, let's keep the casing with a support something like this as shown in the video. Now we are going to use sealant here to fix this oil leaking issue and prevent it from occurring in the future. You might use any gasket sealant like Anabond, or even you can use a proprietary one from Bajaj, and either of the one will work. This gasket sealant, which is red Anabond, is transparent in nature, and whereas Bajaj one is grey in color, and that's the only difference that is there. While you make a purchase for the sealant, make sure that is an RTV silicon based sealant, and at the same time it is specifically designed to withstand high temperatures, and also the intention of use should be making a gasket material on the engine. And in this case I'll be using the Bajaj sealant since I bought it newly from the service center. Now while you're working with any internal parts of the engine, cleanliness is very important. Wipe clean the entire surface of the magneto cover using a clean microfiber cloth. Now the next step is to prep the new gasket, and for this I'm going to use some grease to apply and coat entirely on the new gasket. And why am I doing this? I have two reasons to say. One, it will make the gasket easily removable in the future. And the second one, it will help you to align this gasket and avoid slippage while you install the case back onto the motorcycle. Once you thoroughly coat the new gasket with the grease, let's install it on the motorcycle. Now making sure that all the alignment is proper, let's stick the gasket with the help of the grease which is pre-applied and align all the holes which has to be bolted on after inserting the magneto case. Run your finger over to make sure that the gasket is properly seated, ensuring that it doesn't move so easily. Now once again, I'm just cleaning the case of the magneto side using a microfiber cloth. Once this is done, I'm going to use this gasket maker sealant and apply a thick coat between the space that is there on the rubber housing of the magneto stator wiring. Spread evenly using your fingers and wipe off excess amount of gasket material which is not required. Once this is done, install the wiring onto the casing where the slot is made. Again, using a microfiber cloth, wipe off the excess material to make it even and avoid spillage while you install it back onto the motorcycle. Now aligning everything back together, install this back onto the motorcycle and tighten all the bolts in a crisscross pattern. I have did this off camera, and also using the same microfiber cloth, I also cleaned the exterior surface from excess gasket material. I also repeated the same process onto the sensor cable too. As you can see here, the new gasket material is slightly out and this is completely normal. And since you have already applied some grease, you might find some oiling near the casing area. That is only because of the grease that you applied. Once you give your bike for a water wash, you will not get any of the oil or the grease that might spill out from the magneto cover. And that's how you fix your oil leaking issue in the Dominar. Don't forget to refill your engine oil and cover your sprocket cover before you take your motorcycle onto a spin. And if you people find this video informative enough, and if people like this video, do consider subscribing to Archeonics and follow me on Instagram for more such interesting content.